Hello, gorgeous, and welcome to the Women on Top podcast. I'm your host, Valerie Lynn, and with over 15 years of business experience, I became truly passionate about finding ways to support and hear from way more women. And what we know to be true is that women thrive when they are in their favorite position, on top in business, in relationships, in personal growth, and on top in being real and authentic to who the hell they are. So I invite you to sit back and enjoy the Women on Top podcast. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. I say that every time I feel like I'm interviewing people lately, but truly I have been looking forward to this conversation all week. And the woman that I have sitting with me here today, she is somebody that I only met in person recently, but I feel like I've actually kind of gotten to know her because I've been low-key stalking her Instagram profile. And I just saw her speak at an event back in February. And I feel like the things that drew me to her were she has this level of class and leadership and like poise and conviction with how she speaks. And such passion, but also like a softness as well. And so those qualities are just such an interesting combination. She is a new mom. She is a multi six-figure CEO entrepreneur. Oh my goodness. She's also Colorado-based real estate agent. And she's a speaker and a mentor and just kind of a Wonder Woman. So I am so excited to welcome to the show today, Sarah D'Angelo, and I just love and adore you already.
Thank you. And I'm like, I was recording a little Instagram story before hopping on. I'm like, this is I think it's my first podcast episode since being back. And I'm just
Oh my
like, what am
gosh.
I going to say? Like, what's going to come through today?
Yeah.
But thank you for that beautiful reflection. You have no idea how much that means to me. And yeah, I receive it all. I really
Oh
appreciate it.
gosh. Yeah. I'm always just so thankful because I know how valuable time is, especially as a new mom. And so being able to share space is one of the most sacred things to me. So thank you again for being here. I kind of want to just get like right into the juice. So when I started looking at all of your content and kind of following you, what I love, and this is one of the things I really want to talk a lot about on this episode, is that you are passionate about helping women get more money. You are passionate about helping women become really abundant. And I think money is such a shameful, like we have so much, there's so much triggers that happen and go off in our minds when we talk about money and wanting to be rich and wealthy. And so I want to know, where did this mission come from? Like, was this something that you feel like you always had a good relationship with money growing up? Or how did this all start for you?
Yeah, well, to answer the first question, I absolutely did not have a good relationship with money. I had a very fear-based relationship with money.
Yeah.
However, I think that I got called to do this work. It was kind of always something that was in my field, and I never realized it until I had my own little spiritual awakening. But I kind of against all odds became a wealthy woman. I did not go to college. I barely graduated high school. I literally had to have a TA change my grade just so I could graduate high school. I
Wow.
really just decided to work my booty off and ended up at a corporate job working at a bank. And that's where I think I first kind of established a relationship with money without even knowing what a relationship with money was at the time.
Yeah.
But I got to understand money on a really deep level in the sense of strategy, right? Like
Mm.
I saw people who were like the richest of the rich, and I saw people who were the poorest of the poor, and I got to know each of those people and why they were why they were the way they were.
Yeah.
Um, and after working my way up the corporate ladder for 5+ years, I kind of found myself feeling really unfulfilled. and just unsatisfied with where I was at in my life. I felt like there had to be more, and I didn't know at the time what more meant for me. But I
Yeah.
just decided to take the chance and quit my corporate job.
Oh my
And then
goodness.
I know it was a crazy, wild decision. I had no plan whatsoever. I was like, yeah, it's fine. Like I'm gonna, go quit and like figure myself out, and I'll come back if I need to. But like it's fine. I had no plan. Didn't even know what the coaching space was at the time. But then I came into the coaching space, and that's where I really dove deep into the spirituality behind money and wealth. And it's all started to unfold since then, and it's still unfolding to this day.
So, talk more about that, the spirituality and that relationship. That's not something that I was aware of for a really long time. And it was only like in recent years that I had kind of started to understand it differently. So, was that the thing that you would say you can kind of credit your success to? Is that spiritual relationship?
I think it's a combination because the spiritual relationship is what has allowed me to amplify the strategy that I learned,
Okay.
right? Like if I didn't have a good foundation of like understanding how to manage my money, how to save, how to have a good relationship with debt and credit cards, I don't think that I would have been as successful without that foundation.
Mm.
The spirituality piece of it, the understanding how to become and embody a wealthy woman and how to walk throughout the world like you already are living a rich life before you have the rich life. That's kind of what has collapsed time and amplified my own abundance and prosperity and actual cash in the bank.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's talk about that too, because it is hard. Like, I mean, for me, for me, it's been challenging. Like, I feel like I've had a decent relationship with money, which I also like hesitate to share or talk about just because I always feel like there's certain attachment that people will make, in their mind
Yeah.
when we talk about that. But I'm trying to kind of get to a different level with it right now. And so I'm working on this very thing that you're talking about. Like, how can I embody this idea of being like a rich woman and not just rich in like a egotistical rich way, but really like rich in thought and who she's hanging out with and how she is being in the world. And so, how do we do that when
Mhm.
part of ourself feels really stuck or just like, I don't feel like I'm there yet, though?
Yeah, well, I want to first address the shame that comes with owning the fact that we all want to be wealthy. Like, I think that even the people who say they don't, they do, like in some way. And we have to go deeper than that. It's like, why do we want to be wealthy? And
Mm,
in the material form. I'm not talking about like the energetic form. Like that's it too. But like, why do we want the material physical form of cash? Right. And ultimately, for most of us, it comes down to I want to have the freedom to choose what I want in life. I want to have the resources to be, do, and have what I want. And
yeah.
in this lifetime, cash is that tool, right? But here's the differentiator is cash is the tool, but it isn't the goal. Money isn't the actual goal. The goal is what can come from that, right? It's the freedom, the abundance, the I think the word that's coming to mind is like the I get to have what I want when I want it. And I don't feel limited. I get to be limitless in my life.
Right.
I think that's what we're all trying to achieve through the resource of money. But the cool thing is you don't actually need to have the physical form of money to feel that freedom, to feel that limitless. That actually gets to come first. So we have been gifted with the beautiful tool of our imagination. And our imagination, what's really cool about it is our body doesn't know the difference if we're imagining something or if it's happening in real life. So how we kind of collapse time and how we deepen our relationship with abundance is embodying the abundance first and then allow it to land in the physical form. So there's that part of it, which is like the energy, right? Like who
Yeah.
you be throughout the world. And that's all fun, fine and dandy. But what happens when the money comes because you've embodied the work? But oh, now I have all these subconscious beliefs that I don't deserve this, or if I if I have money, I'm a bad person, right? That's a huge one. Or I don't know how to hold this.
Right.
Or if I have money, people will take it from me, right?
Hmm.
Like there's so many different beliefs that we have around money. And so that's when we have to really address our mindset and reprogram the
Yeah.
actual relationship and beliefs that we have with money.
Do you think this is worse for women than it
Oh,
is?
100%.
Mm.
Yeah, there's nothing easier. And I speak for the American world, like the America, because there's a lot of wealth outside of America as well. But there's nothing easier for a white man to manifest money,
Mm.
right? They have the least amount of blocks, right? Because woman of color, men of color, we all have these like societal blocks that have oppressed us in our finances for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
So for women in particular, we have always been oppressed in our finances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes me think about like women, even when you get a promotion, we often don't talk about, sometimes we don't even talk about it at all. It's just like, oh, I'm doing well at work. But I feel like for men, it's very easy to celebrate that kind of level of success. Like, oh, yeah, I got a 5%, or I don't know, whatever, 15%, who knows, amount of increase. And they're just out there like, let's go have a round of golf. And like they celebrate that differently or just kind of share it. I feel like more with ease.
Yeah.
So, where does this all come from? Like, I'm imagining you've worked with so many clients, and where do you think it all comes from? I mean, so many places, but I guess kind of high level view. What's your take on that?
I think it comes like the high level is the two biggest places is family and society,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like I personally grew up in a family that was like I had three different examples of having a relationship with money. I had my dad who he was like rich people are snobs. Don't have like you don't want to be one of them, right? And then I had my mom who was like rely on a man. Just rely on a man to take care of you. And then I had my stepfather who was like, if you're eating McDonald's and if you're not making $500,000 a year, you're worthless. Right. So, like, I had all these different ears or voices in my
Yeah.
ear, rather, telling me all these different stories. And I had to really figure out what was my truth. What did I want my relationship with money to be? How did I want my finances to look? How did I want money to show up for me? Um,
Yeah.
and so I think that that is a huge part of it. But
Yeah.
going back to what you were saying around like, why is it so easy for men to celebrate, and why is it so shameful for women? Having a relationship with money is a new thing for women. Like it's genuinely so new. We have only been able to have our own bank accounts since the 1980s. Like
Mind blowing. It like makes me
wild.
mad in my gut as you say that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't remember the year. I know it's on my Instagram somewhere, but I can't recall the year. But there was literally a time where a woman would have to have her son, her child, co-sign to qualify for a loan.
So ridiculous to think about that. Like sometimes I feel like we've evolved so much and I'm like, oh, I'm this like kind of feminist out here, women empowerment. I'm like, well, we've evolved. And then I look back and I'm like, it's really not been that long and we have so much more work to do.
We do, and we have progressed so much, and I celebrate everything. Like the fact that we're even having this conversation right now is massive. But yeah, like there's still long ways to go. Like
Yeah.
this is why my mission is to get more wealth into the hands of women because one, it's our birthright, but two, I deeply believe that we're going to do like really, really beautiful things in the world with the resource of money.
Yeah, I love that. I love that your passion is specifically around helping women with this. So, when you are working with women, are you working on a lot of that, like reprogramming and kind of unlocking some of those old stories? Is that where you begin? Or I'm just thinking of like the listener who maybe doesn't have a lot of experience and is like, yeah, I pay off my credit cards or I'm trying to save a little bit, but I don't really know where to start with all of this. Like, where do you kind of even begin with this whole process?
Yeah, the first step is becoming aware.
Mm.
Like you don't know what you don't know, and you will just continue to play out these patterns and loops and generational curses with money if you don't become aware of what they actually are.
Yeah.
So you've got to like really sit down and ask yourself, like, what are my beliefs about money and wealth? What is my relationship with it? How do I feel? Like, what does it make me feel when I think about being wealthy? Because a lot of the time we think consciously that that's what we desire,
Mm-hmm.
but on like a nervous system level and on a subconscious level, it's actually terrifying, right? Like I just bought my family a house and it was
Amazing.
so terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was the most liberating and exciting and cool experience. And it was terrifying
Yeah.
because now I have this new level of wealth that I'm building and I have all these thoughts and fears of, can I hold this? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're thinking, does it go away? It doesn't just go away. Like you continue to do the work, the bigger you play it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, congratulations. That's a huge milestone. And like, let's just back up for 2 seconds because you were like, I bought my family a house. It wasn't, we bought our first house. It was, I bought that. And I just love that. So that's incredible. And then like what are some of those things, or actually who are some of those people, I should say, that have helped you feel supported? And maybe it's things as well, but I'm just kind of thinking of like your support system as you're trying to hold new levels. What do you do? Who do you go to? How do you support that?
Yeah. Oh my God. It's such a good question. I don't even think I've asked myself this. I mean, I have a very supportive partner who like I think he pours belief into me when I don't have belief in myself. So
Yeah.
that's been so helpful. But also, like, I've continued to surround myself with women who celebrate my success. And I think that's wildly important because if you are surrounded by people who shame you for your success or dim you for your success or misjudge you, right? Like it's going to keep you small. But when you're surrounded by women who like call you when
Mm-hmm.
they have their highest paying months, and you can call them when you're having your highest paying months and really celebrate and anchor into that wealth, like that's been huge because it just builds the momentum and it makes it feel like a safe space for me to be in my wealth.
Yeah. I love that. It's something also that has been kind of profound for me in recent years of just, we hear of like your network is your net worth, and I really see it now. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that truly is the case. But how, sometimes, and I feel this kind of right now also, is how do you even start that process? Because sometimes starting to celebrate yourself, it feels awkward for me. It
Yeah. Yeah.
feels scary, or it's, because I'm imagining if you want to have those types of relationships, you have to kind of step out a little bit and start saying, this is kind of who I am. This is kind of how I want to live my life. And this is, here's my belief system. And I'm really loving that I'm creating this success for myself. So, how do you start creating those relationships? And like, have you seen anything shift in your life the more that you've elevated?
Yeah. So if you are struggling to like find those people, because to be honest, like they are gems, like they're rare, you have to kind of
Yeah.
go finding. You can't just like sit and it'll just fall in your lap. A
Mm-hmm.
majority of the world doesn't speak this language. A majority of the world is still kind of stuck in the shame around money and wealth and success, especially for women, and the privacy of it, right? Like keep it hush hush. Um, if you are struggling to find it, just go invest in it. Like it is an investment. Like just being around women who are successful absolutely elevate you. Like I go invest in a community, go invest in someone who you can just be in their energy. And I know this sounds so silly because it's hard for me to like comprehend this, but I've had women invest in me just to be in my energy, right? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like I'm just goofy and kind of awkward, like but they're like, no, like your abundance embodied,
Yeah.
and that has
Yeah.
an effect, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and it does because I've invested in mentors and communities where I'm just like, okay, like being around these women, like I'm pulling up a seat at a table of seven-figure entrepreneurs. Like, of course, I'm going to elevate to that level because I'm having bigger conversations. I'm around higher level energy. I'm expanding my edge.
Yeah, I love that. Like just kind of getting in the right spaces where you can kind of feel that. And I've done the same thing where I've been reflecting on mentors and some of the things I've invested in, even just this year. I'm like, man, it is because of the skills I'm hoping to attain, of course. Like there is some level of, practicality that I'm looking to get out of whatever I'm investing in. But more than that, like the majority of it is because of who that person is and the fact that I want to be able to share space with them because we know that osmosis is such a thing. And that when you can just kind of be around someone, you just naturally start to elevate your level of leadership too. And so I think that that just also sounds like, it's the case with money as well. I'm thinking about, how you went from what it sounded like to be kind of like this in debt, like kind of lack place where you didn't have a lot of money to where you are now, because I feel like there's always a journey there. And again, for like somebody who's like, okay, I can work on the mindset and all of that, but how did you like what was that like? Because it feels like there's probably a lot there that happened going from I don't have anything to now look at you buying a house for your family and you're this like embodied wealthy woman. So kind of like go back through that a little bit just to kind of give us some tangible pieces.
Yeah. So I personally, I will say that I was never, I always valued money. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why. I mean, I guess I know why now, right? Like it's like I never knew why I really valued it.
Yeah.
Uh, my dad always made me save 10% of every paycheck,
Mm.
right? Like he was like, you've got to save your money. And so I kind of adopted this very like fear-based relationship with money where it was like, oh my God, like I have to cling on to this. And
Mm-hmm.
I call this, and I'll explain more in a minute. I call this having an anxious attachment to money. A lot of women have either an anxious or avoidant, and the goal is secure, right? You're, and you guys, this is going to sound silly, but it's so real. If you look at your relationship with men, a lot of the time it will mirror your relationship with money.
Wow.
So if you tend to be more on the anxious attachment style with men, probably going to be anxious with money as well. Because money is a more masculine sort of energy, it provides for you, right? So
This
it's
is like
very,
amazing right now. Sorry. Like I want you to
yeah,
keep going, but my mind is blown. It's just like going back through my history of relationships anyways.
yeah, yeah. No, it's wild. When I first had this download, I was like, holy shit, like
Yeah.
how this is so real. And
How are
I've
we
been
not
talking
talking
about
about this right now? The
yeah,
world.
yeah.
Oh
And
my
so I
gosh.
started, I started talking about it because I realized that, oh, wow, if I choose to heal my relationship with money, I'm actually also healing my relationship in every corner of my life.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like we need to rewind the podcast right there and just re-listen to that right now.
Yeah. It is a sacred responsibility. It can feel like a burden to be like the chain breaker of lack and scarcity, but it is a sacred responsibility. And if you choose to take on that sacred responsibility of healing your relationship with money, watch it ripple effect into every corner of your life. It will have an effect on your relationships. It will have a effect on your friendships, your business, your every corner of your life, your self-worth, right? Because you've got to look at every corner of your life to heal
Yeah. Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. This is like such an incredible lesson for everyone. And if you're like listening to this podcast, there is no way you're going to walk away as the same woman that you came in listening to this as. So,
it. Well, that's the goal, right?
yeah.
That's the goal. I love it. So that's kind of like what my journey was. Like I literally was like, okay, like I don't like my life right now. I don't like how I'm always living in this fear-based, anxious, worry, doubt. I don't trust money. I don't trust men. I don't trust myself. And so I went to work on all of those. And becoming embodied in wealth and allowing money in my life. And I say this very, very like, if you were to do one thing away from this podcast, obviously I said become aware of the beliefs you have. That's step number one. But actually establish a relationship with money, like personify money and ask yourself, if I was money, would I want to be in a relationship with me?
Oh my gosh.
And when I asked myself the question and the answer was absolutely freaking not, that's when I realized that I had to do some work on myself if I wanted money to actually want to be in relationship with me. Because the truth is, like, money has no meaning except for the meaning that we give it. Like, it's literally meaningless. It's a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But we've attached so much meaning to it. We've attached our worth to it. And the
Yes.
minute that we can take money off the pedestal and put ourselves back on it is the minute that money wants to be in your life.
I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm speechless because I'm just sitting here and like my jaw is on the floor and I'm just floored because I'm thinking of how radically I feel like different in my body right now, just hearing that. And it makes so much sense. I love the reflection of if I were money, would I want to be in a relationship with me? And I've got some work to do, y'all. So there's that piece. But
And
I
how exciting.
also, huh?
It's so exciting. Like,
Yeah,
it is. It's
right.
a beautiful journey.
Yeah, I feel like that's the other piece that is so amazing about hearing, the work and some of the things that you've done is it actually makes me excited because you can do something about this. Whereas I
Yeah.
feel so often we feel out of control. We feel like, oh, money's dictating my life. And
Mhm.
you're just kind of like flowing to and fro and you don't know where it's going to come from next, or you're just living in, like you said, lack or you're just hitting a ceiling. Like I've experienced that before too, where you're just like, okay, this is like the comfortable amount. And if I go anything beyond this, like, that feels kind of uncomfortable. I just don't know if I can hold it. And that's kind of more of my experience right now. But where I can relate to some of this, some of what you were sharing, that I was like, oh, this makes some sense, is that the more that I have started to kind of believe in some of my own gifts and talents and some of the things I'm good at, even in like work or in my relationships, the more that things become easier and the
Yeah.
more that I've actually made more money and had more successful investments. And it's not like my life got more stressful. Like, yes, there's different responsibility, but the flow is different. So it's really interesting to hear you talk about it because I'm reflecting on, of course, my own life.
Of course, of course. And I mean, I actually heard my partner and I were listening to a speech just on the interwebs yesterday, and the person said, if you're the problem, you're the solution, which
Yeah.
is amazing, right? So like money, and this is going to trigger people, but money's not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Money is not the problem. Take some
Yeah.
responsibility, right? Because I'm sorry, but and I've done it myself, we cannot give away our power to a piece of paper that society has just decided is going to be here to support us. Like, we
Mhm.
cannot give our power away to that. So
Right.
take your power back by taking responsibility and taking ownership of healing your relationship towards that, and how
Mm.
you show up in relationship with it. And it'll change your entire world.
Yeah. And that's so powerful for relationships too. Like, I just was thinking
Mhm.
of that. Like, you can't give your power up to another human. It's the same thing with money.
Yep.
What are some of your, like right now, what would you say some of your favorite things to invest in are? I mean, obviously real estate. So,
Yes. I'm like, okay, so I want to like take that back because
yeah.
I was so afraid of investing in real estate.
Really?
I could have invested probably over a year ago, 100% over a year ago. But I was so afraid because I've only ever done investments as in like investing in like myself through a mentor, or like maybe I'll put a little bit in my 401k that my financial advisor when I worked in corporate set up for me. Like, I had no idea what was happening. But real estate has honestly been the most empowering and liberating thing to invest in, because holy shit, like, it's mine.
Yeah.
Like, I own this house, like, oh, it gives me chills. And this is one of the reasons why I decided to get my real estate license, because I want to help women feel this sense of wealth and pride in themselves. Like no one can take away the fact that I did this,
Yeah.
that I own this. And it's just like, it is the best feeling.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, real estate has so been like probably
Yeah.
the biggest thing, and why I want to help other women invest in real estate. But it's also been really fun to like learn and actually start to play in the stock market. Like I'm nowhere near a like professional, and like I cannot give advice at all in that realm. Um, but I do advise that you go speak with a professional about it,
Mhm.
because actually here's a great prosperity date for all of you guys.
Mm.
Go take yourself on a date, get really dressed up, like in your best outfit. Go take yourself on a date to the bank, sit down in front of a financial advisor. Even if you don't have that much money yet, listen, I plan on coming into a lot of money soon and I'd love to know what to do with it. Right? Right. It's
Gosh.
so fun.
So
It's
delicious. Just
it
like
is
I
like
love
such
that.
a power move, right?
Yes.
And I've done that before. And in doing that, like, I feel like I poured so much belief in myself of like, oh yeah, I'm about to come into a lot of money. And I was making maybe like $3,000 a month. Like
Yeah.
maybe my business was not thriving. But I intended on it and
Yeah.
put action like it was going to happen. And
That's
I just
great.
like solidified the belief.
Yeah. That's so juicy. I love that. I never even had thought of that. Like I've kind of gotten a little more in the mindset of like, okay, I need to take myself out more and like kind of do my own CEO day, right?
Yeah.
But that has never included the bank. So I think we gotta elevate that. And that's a
Yeah.
great way to do that. And I know what you mean. I actually own a condo in Washington State. And buying that was really expansive. And it was at a time when I just kind of knew, like, we just, it's so interesting when you reflect back and you're like, just kind of knew it was time for me to make
Yeah.
that move. It was mine. Nobody else influenced that. It was at a time when I, didn't have a relationship that was influencing that decision. And I had like visualized this place and just kind of the feeling of like walking around in it and what that would be like. And then when I got to the condo that I now own, there was like there was these chairs on the deck that were the exact same chairs that I think my dad had. And it just was like this immediate hit in my gut, like, this is my place.
Yeah.
And having that did something for me. And it's what you're describing right now, where that ownership, it does more than just like, yes, this is as an investment. It like really takes you to a whole different level in your mindset and who you are as a woman, I think.
It changes your identity.
Yeah.
And identity work is huge when it comes to wealth building,
So
right?
true.
Because if you're identifying and you've only ever identified as a woman who's broke or is struggling or has to rely on somebody else or whatever the story is or whatever the identity is, right? When you take such a big action of like investing in buying yourself a house, which is one of the biggest investments you can ever make,
Yeah.
it anchors you into an identity of I am a wealthy woman.
That's so true. That's so true. I used to drive up to that condo and like cry because out of gratitude, like, I cannot believe this is actually mine, and I can like feel it now almost because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like,
Yeah.
it's still
Huge
true. And it's
deal.
like a rental property now.
And
But
celebrating you for that
yeah,
because
thank you.
that's epic. Yeah. Like, do you know if you're the first like woman in your bloodline to own a property by herself?
That's like really, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
you
don't think so. I
close.
don't think so. But I feel like that is kind of edgy. I would like to be the first woman who has a portfolio of rental properties. Can we just?
Okay. Yes, done and done.
So that's the next goal. What is something that's kind of like your next goal right now? Like what are you working towards at this time? I know you're also in motherhood era as well. So
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I've been so indulging in it as well, but I'm also like so ready to get back to work. I know you kind of heard me speak about the rebrand. Um and just, I mean, I kind of teased it a little bit here, but it is really in the world of real estate.
Mhm.
Because I have been doing the work around helping women make more money in their business and helping women heal the relationship with money. And I still will continue to do that. But I really wanted to take my, I guess, expertise and my ability to actually get more wealth into the hands of women, like real wealth into the hands of women. And I intend on doing that through real estate. So
Mm.
that is, yeah, that's my next big goal is really helping women get into the real estate world and start owning properties and building generational wealth.
This is such a good time for that. I feel like this is like the time, just because women are kind of, I feel like on this edge that they're dancing along where they're like, I think I'm ready for some big things and to really start showing up, like being seen and being heard and like using that power that we have. And so I'm thrilled for you and just can't wait to see what's next. I also just have to know, and I know we could just keep talking for days, but I want to know how, how has motherhood maybe played into some of this? Has it transformed you in different ways? Has it done something for your relationship with money at all that you didn't expect? What's that journey been like?
Oh my gosh, motherhood is like a wild roller coaster. It is the best thing that's ever happened to me, and it is the hardest thing that's ever happened to me.
Mm.
And I will say that as far as how it's affected my relationship with money, it's done two things. One, I've had to really take a step back in working because I want to be just, I want to soak up all these baby years,
Mm.
like it's like they go by so fast. I still like, he turned 7 months yesterday, and I'm just like, how? Like,
Cute.
how are you almost, you're like, you're closer to one now, like this is just crazy to me. But with that being said, I decided to take a huge step back in my business and reevaluate like what my values are and what I actually wanted out of my business, like long term.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that I ever would have done that without becoming a mother. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that becoming a mom made me take that step back that I never would have taken because I
Mm-hmm.
love to work. Like, I am like,
Oh,
even though I preach like work-life balance, it's like to me, working is my like outlet, you know?
yeah. I
So
resonate with that.
yeah. So like I think that it kind of affected my relationship because it was like, oh my gosh, like I'm no longer working as hard as I was for money.
Yeah.
And can I still allow money to support me while I'm in a really soft season of my life?
Mm-hmm.
I bought a house on maternity leave. Okay. Money still supported me in a soft season of my life.
Yes. Oh my
But,
gosh.
right. Like
Yeah.
I have to like think about that. Like, holy shit, like money's
Yeah.
got you.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's like shaped that, but it's also like motivated me even more to become wealthy because now it's not just for me.
About that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It will light a fire under you like no other. Even the other day, we received $1,000 check in the mail. And I was like, okay, like, this much goes to you and I, and this much goes to Sai. And
Mm.
it's like just like making decisions for my son, like making decisions of like how I'm going to set him up for success so that he doesn't have to go through the struggle that I had to go through.
Mhm.
Like it's so empowering and like it gives me chills because I just like life is going to happen for him regardless. It's going to have like hardships, it's going to have ups and
Mhm.
downs, but if I can at least ease like the stress of money
Yeah.
because I feel like that's one of the number one stressors of the world right now.
Mhm.
Uh, I think I'm doing a pretty damn good job.
Hell yeah. The other thing that came to me as you were talking is not only are you like setting them up for success for the future, but the freedom, like going back to this original, topic about like freedom and why we want more money, of just having that for your family, even now, like being able to create those memories, be in this house, like the life that you have. I feel like it just serves that at such a high level too. So I love that.
That's yeah, in such a deep, meaningful way that like it never like it's never meant more to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Where can we all find you? Because I know that the women listening to this are just going to be so hooked and like, okay, how can we work with you right now?
Yeah, well, I'm on Instagram. I haven't been posting on my feed, but I'm always in stories. Right now, it's mainly just my son, but that'll change soon. And I'm at Sarah Rose _D. And then keep your eyes out on that page because there's a new page that you're going to want to follow pretty soon. So
Oh, that's fun. I can't wait. Oh my
I can't
goodness.
wait. Yeah.
Exciting. I've been seeing, some little hints here and there, and I'm like, okay, what does she have cooking? I feel like there's
I am the
definitely,
ultimate teaser. I love teasing. It's so fun for me, but like this is prolonged because maternity leave. And I'm
yeah,
just like, all these plans, all these wild, cool things have been going on in the background that some I can't share. Some I'm just like, I'm just going to keep this to mine for right now. Because I've always been someone to share everything. And I think in this new season of motherhood, like privacy and almost like scarce, this sounds crazy, but scarce access to my life feels really abundant for me right now. So
fun. Oh my gosh. I feel like we're playing on an edge right here, right now.
we
With
sure
the
are.
things that are coming up. Okay, so before I end my episodes, I'm asking everyone this question. And it's without knowing who the next guest is going to be, like what piece of advice do you have to leave? So the piece of advice that was left for you was
Hmm.
this. When you hit the moment where you feel like you've arrived and evolved, buckle up because this is just the beginning to a lifetime of growth and evolution. And if you can understand this, you have unlocked your catalyst to your biggest life's dream.
Holy shit. How am I supposed to top that?
I don't know. I don't even know what my advice would be, but I just got chills reading that. So,
Oh my God. Okay. And I needed to hear that too. This is only the beginning. Oh,
yeah,
so fun.
buckle up.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously. So then I get to leave a piece of advice. This
Yes.
is
So then
such a
I was
cool
going to
idea,
say
Valerie. I
somehow.
love this.
Yeah.
Okay. Who I'm gonna like channel the next guest. What do they need to hear?
Yeah, just not knowing who it is. Yeah, what's just coming to you right now that you want to leave for them? It could be short and sweet. We've had all of the things. We've had quotes, whatever.
I would say get ready to meet that new edge.
Hmm.
Like whatever that thing has been really scaring you to do, like go dance along it. Um, yeah, because there's something really magical unfolding for you, and it'll bring you to like the bigger picture that you have in mind. But just go to that next edge. You don't have to get to that final destination, right? You don't have to get there yet. Just take that baby step along your new edge, master that, and then move forward.
My God. So good. That, I mean, that's how you top that. I don't know. That was an epic piece of advice. And the amazing thing about hearing these things come through is that I always need to hear it. And I just feel like it always happens to like land on the right person, whoever's next, and then the right listeners. And so thank you for sharing that. I love that. I can just like visualize it too.
Thank
Yeah.
you for that idea. That is like so genius. Like I feel like every podcast, like we always all try to think of something to do differently, and like no one's ever done that. So I love
Good.
that.
Well, I'm glad. Yeah, it's been really fun. So, oh my gosh, I feel like if anybody who's listened to this, you will walk away different. If you really sit here and listen to this episode, Sarah, you have just left us with so much knowledge, so much like deep wisdom. And like what I also love is you gave some really like tangible, tactical things that we can stop listening to this or pause listening or whatever and go do these exercises and emerge differently. I'm obsessed with you in this episode. This was so good. And I just so appreciate you. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you for having me. You have no idea how much an adult conversation means to me these days.
Yeah. Oh my
And let alone something I'm obviously deeply passionate about. So thank you for having me. And
God.
I hope that those of you listened got something out of this.
Thank you for tuning into the show today. And before you go, I just have one quick favor to ask of you. there is a really simple way that you can help support me and help support this show, and that is to hit that follow button on whatever app you're listening to the show on. I'm trying really hard to level up the content and deliver unique value and amazing guests, and just hitting that follow button is the magic that will help continue to empower that. And remember that the world deserves to hear your voice and your stories, and you deserve a place at the top.